Welcome to the Brutal Assassin Blade Vortex build guide. Hello, I'm Darth Lunchbox68. Welcome to my channel. I'm making this video today to talk about my Incursion League starter, which was a Pure Fizz Blade Vortex Assassin. So I decided to make this build basically because I wanted to see what a pure physical Blade Vortex could do versus the more popular option, which would be like an elemental conversion, Tri-Herald Witch. Basically, just to see what I could do with it. I decided to build around the Assassin Ascendancy and the Void Battery wands because the Void Battery wands end up giving me about 120% increased spell damage. They give me maximum mana, which is good for this build because it's Mind Over Matter. And for those of you that don't know, Mind Over Matter takes part of the damage you receive from your mana before it takes it from your health. So mana is almost the same as health for this build. They also give me +1 maximum power charges, and they give me global critical strike chance, which is all good. It all stacks up to make this build really synergize with my Ascendancy. Now that we've kind of talked about that, the cost of this build for me, an Incursion ended up being around 2.5 exalts. Your mileage may vary on that because I found a lot of my gear, and also Void batteries kind of fluctuate in price from league to league. We're part of the way through Delve now, and they've just now come down to about 3 exalts, which is almost 3 times what I paid for my build for 2 together. But they'll keep going down through the league, so maybe this isn't something you might want to start your league with, but it would be a good mid-league character after you build up some currency for sure. It just depends on what Void batteries do that league. That being said, let's go into some more details. Now we'll take a look at the passive tree and see how you need to build this out. Alright, let's take a closer look at this passive tree. From the shadow, we're going to start off in the physical and chaos nodes. Come out to coordination. Path up through life to trickery. Then we're going to go through the bottom part of these nodes through assassination to cold-hearted calculation. We're going to come up and grab written in blood to keep our life up. And we're going to come through path to heart and soul, down to quick recovery, and then to potency of will. The reason we're going to kind of rush getting potency of will is we want our Blade Vortex stacks to last as long as possible, so we don't have to stop and cast as much. This makes Blade Vortex really start to feel good when you get these nodes. Now from here, it's going to kind of depend on the situation, on what you want to get. You'll want to go ahead and start filling out your spell critical strike chance, and you'll want to grab Doomcast as soon as possible. That really starts making it crit a lot, and it makes the crits really feel good. Then, about level 50, you want to start coming through Nullification, Blood Drinker, and get down here by Acrobatics. Because around level 60, 61, you want to grab Acrobatics, and by the time you're level 70, you want to have Phase Acrobatics. That's a big defensive boost. Half of the attacks ain't going to hit you. It's great. Alright, so the rest of what you want to kind of fill in between grabbing those is you want to have enough life to do whatever you're doing. So about 1,000 life by Act 4, about 2,000 life by Act 7 or so, and you want to have around 3,000 life for Katava in Act 10. Those are kind of general guidelines. So you want to fill in some mana, and by the time about level 70-ish as well, you want to grab Mind Over Matter and all these mana nodes behind it. You don't have to grab these by level 70, but right after level 70, you want to grab these. And then at some point after that, if your spell crits are going good, you might want to go ahead and sneak down here and grab Discipline and Training and go down and get Righteous Decree. This really makes your Mind Over Matter a lot better because it gives you a whole lot of mana, and it makes your Blade Vortex cost a lot less to cast. And you'll want to make sure to grab some of these jewel sockets. We'll talk more about the actual jewels in the equipment section. But 3 jewel sockets gives you enough to kind of augment your build very well, get you some life, mana, global physical damage, and maybe even some crit multiplier if you have the money. Next, we're going to take a look at the Ascendancy, which in this case is the Assassin. For our Ascendancy, we have the Assassin. The order I took the Ascendancy was Unstable Infusion, because it gives us a chance to gain power charges. Deadly Infusion, it gives us 8% to critical strike multiplier per power charge, which makes it hit harder. 2% critical strike chance at maximum power charges, and +1 to maximum power charges. After that, I took Ambush and Assassinate. And the thing I really like about this is the critical strikes have Culling Strike. It really helps against Zaro and Shaper. And Opportunistic. It really helps when you're running maps. If you code recently, you move 20% faster. Your critical strike damage cannot be reflected. 100% increased damage when there's only one nearby enemy, i.e. Shaper, and you take no extra damage for critical strikes while there's only one nearby enemy. So this is a great Uber Lab grab for later in the game. You don't really need it until then. Everything through the regular game up to that point, you don't really have that much problem with, and most of the time there's more than one nearby enemy. And that's about it for Ascendancy. And now, coming up next, we'll talk about the gem links and how all this fits together. Alright, let's talk about gem links. So, our 6th link is going to be Blade Vortex or Val Blade Vortex. I personally like the Val Blade Vortex because you can trip it on a boss, and along with your regular Blade Vortex, it really mows them down. Brutality, that's what makes our brutal assassin pure fizz. Increased critical strikes, increased critical damage, controlled destruction, and concentrated effect, or increased area of effect, depending on whether you're doing a map or a boss. Then I have Warlord's Mark on Blasphemy, and that's going to be our main source of leech, and is going to allow us to run Mind Over Matter and not have to worry too much about dying. Flame Dash and faster casting. And then the other link we have is Cast when damage taken, Immortal Call, Summon Flame Golem, and increased duration support. All these other gems are actually mostly just gems I'm leveling up to sell. This is a pretty simple build, and it doesn't take a whole lot of links to get off the ground. If I tweak the build a little bit, we might be able to fit another curse into it, but I didn't feel it was necessary because it worked just fine as it is. And finally, we're ready to talk about gear. Alright, now we're talking gear. Of course, we have 2 void batteries. As we talked about in the introduction, they give us a bunch of extra spell damage, mana, which equates to life, critical strike chance, and cast speed. All which really works great with Blade Vortex. Our armor, you just need a 6-link armor, 1 green link, 1 red link, 4 blue links. If you can get that on evasion armor base, that's great. As you can see, this is nothing really special. I think I paid 40 or 50 C for it. And it's just got some life, a little bit of resistances, nothing too special. This helmet, also some life, some resistances, decent evasion rating. Again, it's nothing too special. You pick up something like this for a chaos or two probably. Amulet, I use this to get some strength and maximum life, some mana, which also equates to life, remember. Always keep that in mind when you're gearing for this build. Then some resistances. We also have life on the ring, strength, resistances, and mana. You can see a theme coming along here. Resistances, life, mana, and a little bit of dexterity. This build is a little dex starved, even though it starts in shadow, so having a little bit on your jewelry helps a lot. Then we have our gloves. Again, some strength, some life, resistances. And you don't really need to use Zeri Step. I do like having the extra chance to dodge spell hits. And it has good movement speed, good life roll, pretty good evasion rating. But if you find a good pair of rare boots with life, resistance, mana, good move speed, it'd be just as good. Zeri Step are definitely not required. And I decided to go for a rare Rustic Sash because it gives us the global fizz damage. And then, of course, we got life, resistances, and that's it. A belt like this is probably 1 or 2 chaos. For flasks, we want to get a divine life flask, ideally like a bubbling, which this gives 50 reduced amount covered, but it applies half of the recovery instantly. Really helps if you're getting hurt bad, get your life back right away. And then we want a mana flask. Of course, for this build, mana equals life, so it's like having 2 life flasks. I have a Quicksilver flask because I like to move fast. If you can get a Quicksilver flask of adrenaline, it feels awesome. I would highly recommend it. A Diamond flask of heat. You don't have to have it of heat. You can make this your bleed flask or what have you. You just want a diamond flask because you want to have the extra crit chance. And the quartz flask, you want either your freeze or bleed removal on this. Increased duration is awesome if you can get it. And this is just going to give you extra chance to dodge attacks and spells. So it's a really good defensive flask for this build. Last thing we're going to talk about is the jewels. So this one I have plus $8 attributes, 6 increased max life, 8% increased max mana. Awesome jewel. I think it only cost me a couple, maybe 3C. 7% increased maximum life, 8 to all resistances, 8 to strength and dexterity. Global fizz damage, great for this build. Strength, increased max life, and fire res. Excellent jewel. I don't think you guys are much better than that. All in all, that's the gear. It's pretty cheap to gear up. And if you enjoyed this video, I highly encourage you to try this build out and maybe let me know how it goes for you in the comments. If you enjoyed it, please like and consider subscribing. I'm going to keep adding content as I go along and get further in my streaming career. So hopefully I'll see you guys back and look forward to it. Hope you enjoyed the build guide and the video. If you did, please feel free to join us over Twitch TV/DarthLunchbox68. I'd be more than happy to see you guys there and talk to you. Come say hi.